This is the Heavy Boots Podcast, a place to feel all your feelings. As a feeler, we often carry a lot around with us, and it can make our boots feel extra heavy. In this space, we unpack some of it, like worry, sadness, respect, happiness, love, and today's episode topic, success. Here's to moving through the world a little easier. Time to start unpacking those boots. Let's get into it. Today's topic is success. Like most of our other topics thus far, there are many different sides to it. Truth had many facets, but I only touched on one specifically. And for loss, there were many sides to it, and I touched on all the ones that I could think of. So I kind of just do these as time will allow. I don't want to prattle on and on forever. For success, I'm going to jump into all of it. To me, there's many pieces of success in life. There's being successful at your job, successful with your relationships, being successful at taking care of yourself, being successful at making money. There's different types. Some people look at people the way they're dressed. You know, they say dress for success. And so some people think you can just look at someone and think of them as successful. There's just many different little pieces to success. I usually look at success as many things. I don't think that just one thing makes you successful in life. I think there's a lot of balance needed to be successful. And I think sometimes we definitely get out of balance. There's a lot to think about in life. And so it's not easy to be successful, I think. A lot of the success, though, that when we think success, if you really ask people, a lot of it has to do with money or material things. So it's the outer image sometimes that gets brought up the most with success. So like the successful singer, successful basketball player, successful businessman, like, Mark Cuban or something like that. Or, I won't talk about any other businessmen. It's a little controversial these days, but he's a good one. He's kind of neutral. But anyways, just success is usually an outward display. So I have the car, I have the house, I have the job that affords the house and the car, and then there's the family, and so like successful mom, successful dad, and that to me is like a relationship, or and like, or what you provide for your children, and then there's things to that as well, like, if you don't have children, are you unsuccessful just because that's not a piece of your life? It's really interesting, and it is very specific to each person. And so that's why I was just going to come here and kind of talk about, all the facets, and then give you what I think success is. And again, as I've said in most of my podcasts, I am a what do you call it? Do you. A do you person. Whatever you see fit for you is perfectly wonderful, and nothing I say here is meant to change that. So this is just a space to say my piece and to help people if they need it, or give people ideas, or, if you find, oh, that might be cool, let me try that, whatever. This is not about preaching to have anyone change. It's basically just, oh, I never thought of it that way, that kind of thing. Or, oh, that's how she is. So then if somebody's listening to this that, is in my tight-knit circle, they could be like, oh, I know her a little better now. I never knew that. Oh my gosh. So, and it's just about thinking and getting feelings out, and success has been a really hard one for me, and so that's why it's in my heavy boots. And again, I don't know if I told everyone, but I made a logo for Heavy Boots years ago. I think it's been over 10, maybe even over 15 years ago. And it is literally a pair of boots, and filled in it, in it are all these little puzzle pieces of, the things that I was feeling were weighing me down. And some of them are beautiful. Like, not everything in our boots is bad, and I don't think anything in our boots is bad. Actually, I should be careful how I say that, because I don't even think, regret or loss or sadness or worry is bad. I think it's just there. And that's why we're doing this, is to talk it out and make it a little less heavy. So, and I think it's only heavy because it's combined with everything else, So I don't know. I get really metaphysical, or whatever you call it. I go a little too deep, but all I mean is the boots are heavy because of all the pieces, and they're all beautiful. And so I don't want to say anything's worse, than the other. But back to the success thing. There's a word I hate, and it's called failure. Now, if you have experienced a failure, it's not such a bad word. But I don't like it when people call people failures or losers. The loser, oh my goodness. When somebody says that about somebody, I can't. It's so sad and so mean to me. And, some people will say, well, there's no better word. And I just don't like labeling anybody. There's people that I probably would never want to meet, and that I have these ideas about, or what have you. And they're like, well, you could call them a loser. And I wouldn't, because that would mean there's no room for redemption. And I don't know if redemption's not in my boots, so I don't know if we'll ever touch on that. But I don't want to get into it too much. But to me, nobody should get a label. Life is so ever-changing, so ever-flowing, and nobody should be put in a box or given a label. And that's that's just... So, back to failure. When you experience a failure, that's one thing. Now, my internal brain, just to be completely clear and honest, my internal brain will call me a failure. For the stupidest things, too. Sometimes the stupidest little failures, like, I don't know, like this morning there was just something that came up, and I won't go into it, but it was something that was just my error. I didn't see something. I didn't look far enough. And then I panicked and I worried others. And so in my brain for the next hour after that, I was a failure. I effed up and I was so hard inside my head, and so I was labeling myself a failure instead of realizing that it was a failure. I'm not a failure. You know what I mean? It's like it was a silly failure. It was a failure to pay attention. And, any type of failure is something that you get through. If you label yourself a failure, you do not get through that. You are a failure in your head. And if someone else says that to you, it's even harder to get that out of your head. Just know that. So, to anyone listening that has been told they are a failure, please understand that you are not. You may have failed. You may have experienced a failure, but you are not one. Nobody is. And failure is how you learn how to be strong, how to pick yourself up, how to pivot, change your ideas, grow. There's just so much that is good about failure. And people will be like, what? No, failure sucks, blah, blah, blah. It is such a beautiful thing when you can embrace it. I have started the podcast, and my second episode, it was tingy. It was awful. I'm really hoping this one is going well. But, and it was something I wasn't proud of, and I couldn't fix it. And I failed because I tried everything and I couldn't fix it. And I didn't have time to re-record it. And I was so bummed. I may re-record it in the future, but for me, that was a failure. But I figured out a new way to do a template in this studio thing, and hopefully it's all working now. And if not, oh well, I'm trying. And so it took me a long time to get that message. There's a lot of people who've told me that. Well, as long as you try, who cares? And it doesn't sink in unless you believe it. It really doesn't. So, you're not a failure. Just really, please, if someone says that to you, just really correct that the moment it comes into your brain. Change it up, because it is not something to sit in there. It's taken me a long time to get it out, and sometimes, like this morning, I still call myself a freaking failure, and it sucks. It just sucks. You're not a failure. You may experience one. The end. All right. There we go. Success has so many different facets again. So you will have success if you get a college degree. Some people think that's a success, and it is. It's huge. That's amazing. Success in, getting the promotion at work, being your own boss, if you're able to, support yourself and you have a successful business, that's a success. I always look at success as the happiness rating. And I don't like the word happiness so much, because happiness is fleeting, just like sadness. It's up and down. And so to me, there's this, I know what it is. It's peace. I always say contentment, and I hate that word too. I don't know why. Contentment sounds so boring to me. So what I'm always striving for is peace. Just a peace, an inner calm that allows me to be there for the others in my life. And to be real honest, I'm getting real honest real early here, is I don't think I'm successful yet. And I always would rate my success based on the money in my bank account, the house that I was living in, the car, the clothes, and also I should, also touch on success as in my weight. Yeah, that's not really on my boots, so I can talk about it here. It is hard to keep yourself healthy when you have a lot of emotions, heavy boots. And, so I feel a lot of shame and sometimes disgust, which is really harsh. I understand that. But for, being a heavy person, because I wasn't for many years, and I was never skinny by any means. I never was that kind of girl. I'm not a very athletic person. It's just not me. But definitely the years have added more weight to my belly. And so sometimes I don't feel successful just going out in the clothes that I have because, they're a little tight, or, I had to get a bigger size, or what have you. And so, success, the dress for success thing. So when I've looked at success, that's what I've always looked at as well. I'm not successful because I can't keep a job, because I get so bored at jobs. But also the jobs that I've really loved and enjoyed, unfortunately, my heavy boots, they grab on to all that crap that's in the office. And I've tried so many things, because people will be like, that's just an excuse, and that's fine. I don't care. Anybody who wants to think whatever they want to think, that's great. But for me, it wasn't an excuse. There was a lot of energy that got to me in so many different work environments. And I don't know. I just always loved to be at the front end of things. So the receptionist, or the front desk or whatever, because I always wanted people to feel good when they came in. Like, I actually never really thought about this until right now, but it's true. Like, so many things that I've done, the front of the office has been where I've been, and it's important for me to make the best first impression. And then if there's an issue, like, there was a lot of jobs that I had where I had to, like, talk people down when they got angry, you know, like, I worked in a courthouse. I worked at the front desk at a lot of places, and you kind of are the first person they see, so the first person that gets yelled at. It's just the way that it is. And so, but most of the time the customers weren't my thing. I wasn't taking those heavy boots home because usually I would help the hell out of them. I would figure it out. Like, I'm never like one to push off stuff into somebody else, or like, oh, I can't figure that out. Sorry, here's a phone number. Have a nice day. That's not me. Like, you know, I might have to call you later because I have to go track it down, but like, I won't ever just leave you hanging unless I literally called everyone, called everyone, read up on everything, and I could not find an answer. Then I'd have to leave you hanging, but that was very few and far between. But so anyhow, you know, success is work, you know, like what you do and what you're productive at every day. Like, people think about that. And to me, I always thought that was weird. Like, when you go to a party and someone's like, what do you do? And it's like, I live. What do you do? I mean, I don't understand why we're defined by what we do. There's been many conversations where it's like, oh crap, you really screwed up your future because you gave up that job with a pension. And it's like, maybe, for sure, but would I want to stay there for 40 years unhappy? I don't know. And again, it's not really unhappy, it's peaceful, you know, to go there and have peace. I didn't have it at a lot of places, and I kept thinking there was something wrong with me. And, you know, some people will tell me that there is, that you should be able to regulate your emotions better and your feelings, and that's fine. I'm getting to the place where it's like, judge, please, go ahead, judge, because then I find out who I want around me, you know? Because most of the stuff that people are judging you for, too, is done. I can't change it. I couldn't handle it. I left. Now I have a business online. I do a podcast, and I'm always looking for more things to do. You know, I'm helping. Yes, I can actually say it was announced. I am helping AAAD, Athletes Against Anxiety and Depression. I am the social media person, and I've been that since, I think, August. And, was it August? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I'm looking at things to do. I'm not an unproductive person. Like, my house is clean. I get up every morning at 7 a.m. I feed the strays that we have left, and I feel like I'm productive in my little world, you know, and I want to be better for sure. That's why I said earlier that I don't feel like I've broken through that success barrier and where I could say I'm successful. No, and I'll tell you what that means to me in a minute, but I've always thought that I wasn't successful because I almost finished college. I'm almost there. And I couldn't handle the work environments and all of that. But the thing about it is I worked since I was 13 babysitting, and yeah, I've worked a long time. Like, I always worked, did something, you know what I mean? And there's been little spells where I, had a break or what have you, but like the break I figured out, oh, okay, I can go work for my mom with her magazine. Like, I always try and figure something out. And I think it's just a big, deep breath, like between unpeaceful situations. There's just a lot of time spent in an office, and the people at the front of the office that do a lot of the work, a lot of the hard work is at the front of the ship. And a lot of the crap goes downhill, I have to say it. And there's little to no appreciation at some of the places. There are some places that are amazing, and they appreciate everybody, and you can feel that. But 9 out of 10, there's just a little lack, or they'll show appreciation just so that they can, railroad you. I've seen that too. It's like a bait and switch. We love you guys so much, and then it's like, here's 100 tons of other crap. So, and it's fine. It's, again, I'm not like pity party, woe is me, or any of that. It's just what I've observed. And a lot of the stuff that was really hard for me was just people's energy, like to come home with everybody's, like I worked with a lot of groups that didn't want to be working where they're working. And a lot of the times, most of the time, I wanted to be there or else I wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? But then when you sit in all that negativity every day, I don't want to be there anymore. I don't know how best to describe it, but that's how it was. I go in excited. A lot of the jobs were very, very, what is it? I don't know, service oriented, like, I don't want to name names, but just jobs that there was good people we were doing the work for, you know what I mean? Like the community or the children, what have you. And people would either take advantage and then tell me to lie. Hated that. And then, the others, it was just, they were burnt out maybe, or I don't know, maybe they loved the job, but they hated the politics. But either way, all of this stuff got to be to where it was like, I cannot stay in this environment. Like, you get sick. Like, the peace was not there. And to me, if you can't get to a place of peace at some point in your day, what kind of life is that? So I felt really bad about that. I think I mentioned in another podcast that I was like a frog. I've been a frog jumping from lily pad to lily pad trying to find a good place to work. And along the way, like, I would call in sick because I was like, I can't go in there. Like, it's just awful and it sucks. But it was like depression, anxiety. And then, and then you go to the doctor and you find out, yeah, you probably should take some anxiety medication. And so I did that. I did not like how it made me feel. But then you talk to the people around you and they're like, oh, I took that. And you're like, what? And like 17 people you're working with are on stuff. It's like, that's not right. Like, everyone's on something because, and I have nothing against medication. Just, it is important for many people. And I might have to do that again. I'm still considering it. Anyway, so I just want to make that clear. Like, medication is necessary in a lot of aspects. But what I mean is that when you didn't know that anybody else was dealing with anxiety and depression, and then you find out you have anxiety and you go and you get medication, and then everyone else is like, oh, I take blah, 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 or oh yeah, it's a mandatory thing here. It just starts to be like, whoa, like, why don't we work on the culture so that maybe we wouldn't have these symptoms? That's all. So success in the workplace has always been like, like, I want to have a $100,000 paying job or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't make much right now, but you know what? I really enjoy this podcast. I really enjoy making my calendars, my cards. I really enjoy working with my brother, and it's like therapy, doing the mental health posts, and I really enjoy all the little things that I'm doing right now, and maybe someday it'll pay off, because I've made some money, and I appreciate everybody who has purchased anything on simplegirlinspired.com. Bad little plug there. But I just appreciate everybody so much, and it's not lost on me, the support, it's really nice. And so I can't make a true living out of that yet, but it doesn't mean I can't, And so To segue a little bit, to go back in time a little bit, I had done a bunch of YouTube videos, probably in, 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there. But, when it was getting popular to do YouTube videos, it was just starting to get really super popular. And I was doing them, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. I loved it. I look back now at them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're so silly. When you look at yourself, it's hard to have good perspective. But looking back now, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so silly. But at the time, I was really serious about it, and I really loved it. And I would go and do hikes and take video, and then I would make little video picture things to music. But I think it was a weight loss thing. I've been struggling with that for a long time. So there was a series that was weight loss driven. So it was like, here's what I ate for the week, or the day. And I would talk about how I felt, and I was very vulnerable. And I honestly forgot about this until like a couple months ago. And I found it, and I was like, wow, I was vulnerable. And I'm vulnerable again in this period of my life. I feel like I can open up and tell people everything because I kind of have to. And I was just so in awe of that girl, I'm going to get emotional, but that's what we're doing here, right? But so it was really cool to see me and everything. And then I was just like, gosh, what happened to that, And then I started to remember that somebody made fun of me that I really admired. And yeah, and I don't know if they understood or cared what that would do, And so it just really hurt my feelings. And it's just really sad to me that one person could be like a little worm in my brain that tells me to stop, the little evil, a little poison that tells me to stop. And they didn't tell me to stop. They just had their opinion. And I swear I'm just now getting to be like emotionally, maybe 25 years old. I'm so behind emotionally. Even though I'm such an emotional person and I go through emotions and I feel like I've done a lot of therapy and all of this, I don't know. There's times where I'm like a little tiny little kid, little girl. And so at that time, I was young in spirit. I was young at heart. I mean, I was young. Yeah, I was young at heart. I was young. I don't know what. If it was 2008, I was 28, 29, somewhere in there. So I still think that's kind of young. But I mean, I was probably 10, in my emotional age. I wasn't like, I don't know. I wasn't strong enough to let that hit me and just bounce off. And so if anyone's out there listening, you youngins, but anyone, honestly, any person, try and come up with something that you can visualize. Because now people can say stuff to me and it's not perfect. Sometimes I'm in a mood, can't handle it. There's been a lot of things where I'm not perfect at it. It's hard. But there are times where I just envision like a force field around myself. Like, I kind of think of it as like, like Bubble Boy, okay? Like a bubble. And so if somebody throws something at that, it's really strong bubble though, like really strong. It's not going to pop it. They throw it at it and it bounces right back and slaps them in the face. And I know that's mean. I don't like being mean, but there's no reason to kill people's dreams. My goodness. And there's no reason to put people down. And then there's also this thing of like, it's already done, If I didn't ask your opinion to try and do a better one next time, then don't give it to me. And 2, I already did it and it's done. So shut up. All right. So, because I'm sure people would have stuff to say about this. And I'm not going to allow for anything to pop this bubble, you know? It's just not going to happen. I enjoy this, and if it helps 2-3 people, that's enough for me. And I'm very clear that I'm not the be-all, end-all of anything. I'm not doing it for attention, and I'm not just sitting here for no reason. I have a reason. There's people that have told me that this kind of content helps them. And sometimes if no one listens, it's just helping me. And that's okay. Yeah, I had to say that. So this to me is a success. To me, that I said I was going to do this, and I did it. And I had to mention, I almost forgot to mention. It's not very successful that I forgot to post it or create it on my birthday, which was yesterday. I was supposed to put one out yesterday. So that's not a great success because I forgot. I completely forgot. So I do apologize that this is a day late. I did forget to mention that. But in all other aspects, the fact that I'm trying something and that I'm putting myself out there and that I'm telling you that I'm not giving you the be-all, end-all, you know, that I'm an open person and that these are just thoughts and ideas. I don't know. That's a success to me. Yeah. So anyway, so when it comes to the job thing, that's kind of been my thing, is like, I know it's, you know, society says success is having a job that affords you a bunch of money, you know, or a side hustle or whatever, all these things these days. And it's like, for sure, that's for some people, and that's amazing. And if you love that job and you can get a pension, and I mean, gosh, there's so many people I know that really enjoyed that, and they have friends from jobs like that, and they loved it, and they have been able to move through that space, and that's a gift to them, you know, a blessing. For me, it wasn't, and that's just me, you know? So I just want to say that, because some people see the other people in those jobs and are like, I'm a failure because I can't hack it here. You're not a failure. You're not a failure. And it's not always a failure to leave a job either, you know? So like some people, even getting fired from a job, that's not always a failure. It's sometimes the universe's way to tell you that's not where you're meant to be, period. So, you know, that's why when I see people that are calling in sick to work a lot, or, you know, just dreading going to work, there's reasons, you know? There's reasons, usually. So, to me, there's just, you got to figure out the universe, figure out what works for you, figure out what you can do to support yourself. And, you know, another thing is, I don't want to knock that you sometimes just have to get out there and do something to get food on the table. Like, I worked at Walmart. I've worked, you know, places that, I don't think I would have worked at, but I did because you got to have the money coming in, you know, and then sometimes that turns out to be a real blessing. So, it's just all about what works for you. It really doesn't matter what anyone else says. Success is what you define success as. And there are times when you might have to be unpeaceful, for me, peace is my success. Like when I feel at peace and I could sit and feel at peace, that's success to me in the grand scheme. And yes, and so when I can't, I know what I was going to say, is that sometimes, like right now, I'm very lucky. Okay, I get to do this for a minute and figure out life, and maybe, hopefully, I'll get enough orders or what have you to keep this lifestyle. But say in a couple months, if I really can't get this going, I'm going to have to take something, you know, take some kind of job, and it might not bring me peace. And I totally understand that many people have to do things that they do not like because they have to support themselves and put food on the table for the family or what have you. So I'm not saying, oh, willy-nilly, just do what brings you peace. I know there's times when there's no other choice. So I get that as well. Maybe in those situations, though, reframing how you interact at work, my problem's always been that I love people. So, like, I just make friends with everybody, and then people whisper behind my back, or people, there's things where it's just like, oh no, you find out the person that you've told all your secrets to, or, you told you were going somewhere, and then, you got in late to work that next morning. So, oh, well, she was at blah, 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 told everyone, that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, okay, I shouldn't tell everything to everybody at work, So if you can't do something you love or be around people that you can completely trust and have peace at work, then reframing it so that you can have some peace, Don't share everything or what have you, and then just keep trying stuff. Yeah. Kind of went off on a tangent with the work thing, but it's been one of those things where I've felt like a failure. And again, I'm not. I've had failures, but I'm not a failure. And so it's a big one for me is just trying to figure out what to do with my life, because I just love creativity so much, but I have so many avenues that I just like look around and I'm like, which one, where, what do I do? So right now I'm doing all of it. And sometimes it's busy and hectic and stressful. It's still stressful when you do what you love. That's the other thing. That's why success, they always show like people on a yacht with, I don't know, champagne or whatever. And it's like, for me too, success is peace, but success is productivity. To me, I feel successful in my life when I'm doing something. Like, I wouldn't, of course, a week or two to just lay around, fine, on a yacht. But like, to me, I don't know, just sell off your company and then not have anything to do but just lie on a yacht. I don't know, I guess that would be good to some people, but for me, I'd want to do something, some part of the year, like, I don't know, maybe sell your company and then start a nonprofit, or, I mean, you would have money, so you wouldn't have to do a nonprofit. You could just use your money and spread it all over the world. I don't know. Become a philanthropist. That's my mom's dream. A philanthropist? But anyways, okay. And so success too can be something that is not as tangible. So like relationships to me, there's always a talk of like, we've had a successful 45-year marriage. You'll hear that. And then you'll sometimes see people that have been married for 45 years and they hate each other. Or it seems like they could be better suited with other people. And this is something that's huge with me, is being real with yourself, like, I mean, there are times too when there's financial things that you have to stay with someone or something like that. But have to, I don't like those words, because you can always find a way out of a situation that's not bringing you peace. So that's another thing. His peace runs through all of this. To me, if you come home from work and you hate that more than going to work, that's not peace. That's not. And so that's the thing, is like relationships, you should want to come home to your sweetheart, if you have a sweetheart, or be around your parents or your brother and sisters or your aunts and uncles and cousins. Like, relationships take work, and yeah, and so like being engaged in those things, you have to figure out what matters, and then you have to figure out how to make it work to where you feel peace, though. See, so a lot of the times what happens is we think that we have an obligation because of family or because of million different things, million little things. I love that show. A million little things. But the thing about it to me is that family is definitely important. Like if somebody called me from my family and said, "Hey, can you give me your kidney?" Sure. Like no problem. And it might be someone that I wouldn't hang out with, like I would show up for family in that sense, but maybe not go have a coffee with that person. You know what I mean? Because they drive me crazy. No, most of my family doesn't drive me crazy. It's just difference of opinion. And the thing about it is, I'm all good with difference of opinion. We don't have to talk about it, Like, again, like you do you. Be who you are. And then, like, just know that I don't want to talk about certain things. Because you don't like my opinion. And I'm not just going to sit there and listen to yours, That's the other thing is relationship. To me, it's only successful if it's 50-50. And sometimes I should take that back. No. It should be 50-50 during normal life. Sometimes it has to be 80-20, 90-10 when things go harsh for that person in their life. And so you have to step up and be there for them. So like, it's not always a tit for tat type of situation. And I hate that because sometimes it sounds like I'm being tit for tat, but it's just when there's no tat, you get burnt. You just get burnt. So yeah, I just think that a successful relationship is fluid. Again, it shouldn't be always one person more than the other, ever. That's not fair. I mean, and fair is not even the right word. It's just not nice. It's just not, that's not a relationship. That's just somebody being a pushover for you and doing whatever you want. And then, it's just figuring out what you can and can't talk about. And I know that sounds like, well, then that's not a good relationship because you should, if you have a really good relationship, you should be open and honest about everything. Bull crap. I'm sorry. Especially in this day and age, there are certain things that I just don't talk about with anybody because I know where I stand. And that sounds wrong too because I'm open. So it's just what happens is a lot of people will start these conversations to change your mind. And again, I am open as hell. I will listen to anything and it's fine. Like, I want to know what you think and what have you. But I don't want to sit there with my legs crossed and, just sitting there listening. I'm going to say my opinion, too. And that's a discussion. And so a lot of these relationships that I've had, discussion just doesn't happen. Like, there's a lot of closed ears, and recently it's been really difficult because people get upset when people interrupt them and then they won't even listen to what I had to say. So it's like, it's just a funny balance. Relationships and success in those are one of the hardest things to me. I don't know anybody who thinks they're successful in all their relationships. And if they do, please, my email address is jennycamille@simplegirlinspired.com. Please email me and tell me your secret because there's so many different kinds of people and there's so many different traumas and different things that people have gone through. And so, as much as I have my wanting to be open and honest and successful in all my relationships, that's not the case. And so, like, it's easier to talk to a stranger about, like, politics and religion than it is with family a lot of the time. It's just the way. And most of the time, it's just not relevant to talk about. It just isn't. So there's just things. And then like, views on, I guess it's politics, but just on people and how they live their lives and stuff like that. It's just, I find it best to support who I want to support in that, political aspect of it. And if there's someone I need to fight for, like if someone talks about people that I love in any kind of disparaging way, I will go for the jugular. No, I will not sit. I used to just be like, oh, that's interesting. That's fine. You can think that way. That's great. But when actions and words don't match, that's unsuccessful to me. Very unsuccessful. And I am guilty of it because I'm human. And so I honestly don't judge everybody either. It sounds like so judgmental what I'm saying right now, but it's disappointing. They always said that was worse, right? When somebody was like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. It's like, oh, the disappointment in somebody. So that doesn't sound very nice, but it's true. It's what happens is the continual pattern of disappointment. So like to me, we're all human. We make mistakes. I make a million of them. And I strive to be kind, considerate, caring, compassionate, empathetic, all those cool things. But there are days where I just am like, what the hell, And a lot of it is if someone else comes at me in a way that's not any of those things, I have a hard time, snapping into that kindness and holding on to that for dear life and being nice to them anyways. I have a hard time because what comes at you, you mirror a lot of the times. What's projected at you, you project back, and it's just this cycle, and it's like, it's really hard. And so I'm, my definition of success for me is quality of life, not quantity of life. And what I mean by that is I can have a few relationships on the planet that are quality, and that's fine with me. Like, I don't need to have 800 people that I know if like 760 of those relationships are going to be fluffy, And that's fine. Like, I always wanted to cultivate relationships with all the people because I love people. Again, like, I sound so judgmental in certain aspects, but I really love people. But I just get so feely, my heart, I get a heart broken. What am I saying? I get heartbreak easily, and I'm working on it. Because most of the things I can handle is, if someone's mean to me, I can mostly handle that. Where I have a hard time is the criticisms of things that I love, like what I love to do, and like, don't talk bad about Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like the things that I love, it's just so funny to me when people want to tell you, oh, that sucks or what have you. And it's like, you could totally have your opinion and we can talk about it, but you don't have to be so mean, And so, and then I also am not successful in my armor, and I don't want to have a full armor because I like being soft, and I think it's a superpower to be feeling. You just have to really navigate on how to use it without harming yourself. You know what I mean? Of how to have it without getting so hurt all the time, because it's easy to get hurt for me. But the more things I do with humans, the more you are less hurt, depending on the human. But anyways, I don't know where I was going with this. Yes, I'm saying that my armor, or my, just what you use to protect yourself. So like, I think what you're rooted in is what I should say. So like, if you're really rooted in the things that you love, in the creativity that you're spewing out, if you're really rooted in the faith that you have, and you're really rooted in the things that are values to you, that matter, the big points of contention in your life, if you root yourself deep within them, you're golden. You know? Like nobody, it's that bubble suit again. Nobody can penetrate that because you already know what matters to you, and whatever they think, it doesn't matter. And that's where I have never been able to get to. And I'm getting closer, but man, I don't know. Out of 100, I'd say I'm at like 40. So there's a lot of work to do. And I just, kind of watch myself when I get offended. And then I think, okay, what was offending me? Why? And I do the work. And I don't do it all the time, but I do it as much as possible. And it's hard. It's hard to be such a thinker and such a feeler and to go through all the emotions of that. But to me, that's the quality part that I was talking about. It's like, if you're my really good friend, or I have a deep relationship with you, like Paul and I are tight, man, and there's stuff. But I don't know, it's deep, it's quality. It's something that you can't unravel quickly, and so I don't know. There's been times in my life too where people are like, man, you don't have any friends. I think I've said that in the last one. What have you? And it's like, again, I'd rather have one really good friend than 10 not so great friends, or just, people you barely see or whatever. And so to me, I focus on the quality. But like I said at the beginning, I don't think I'm successful in life yet. And I think that that's okay. Like, I have a hard time with a lot of things. Whew, that's a big statement. I have a hard time with a lot of things. And that's okay. Wow. See, this is therapy. That's a big statement. But it doesn't mean that I can't do a lot of things and do them well. Sometimes I'll screw up, and sometimes things aren't perfect, and that's okay. But success is not money. It's not years. It's not things or titles. It's the quality of stuff, It's the quality. So, like, you could be the senior vice president to blah, 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 blah. But if you hate your job, you're mean to all your employees, and, you just have that title, is that success? Well, you have the title, so it must be, right? No. And money, you can have $100,000 in your bank account, but if you never go do anything, or you're watching your pennies, or you're, causing issues with family over greedy stuff later in life or whatever, that's not quality. That's just you have money in your bank. That's quantity. And if you have 50 years at a company you hated, or 50 years with a woman that you should have left 20 years ago, that's not quality. That's quantity. You just have the years. And, to me, that's a great accomplishment. If you want to look at it that way, that's a long time. But at what sacrifice? Life is one little journey. And if you don't figure out what matters to you and what you need, then you're not going to have that quality. It's just going to be, oh, we have 50 years of unhappiness. That's not good. It's not good. And again, I know there's other things that go on, so I'm not saying like, there's reasons people do stay together too that might be noble. But I also think that that's kind of something that's used to keep people where they're at. So if you feel that you're somewhere you shouldn't be, I'm not trying to ruin anything, but it's just not right. You have the power to make your life better. You really do. And there's people that can help you if there's anything that you need help with. There just is. There's so many resources, especially now. You can go on the computer and look up things and, take a class. Go, have that art exhibit. Make your paintings. Do stuff. I just want people to know that success is also being true to yourself. To me, that's really important. Because if you're just doing everything that everybody wants you to do, but you hate it, that's not good. That's not life. No. So, as this gets a little bit long, success is a big one. There's so many different facets, and for me, it's peace. Having peace. That moment when you could sit in a chair outside and you're not worried about anything. Like, at least for 10 minutes, you don't have to worry. If you can find that peaceful moment, that means that a lot of the stuff in your life is aligning correctly, So, if you can never find peace, then you have to start looking for it. And you have to figure out where it is and why it's so elusive to you. Because for me, that's what I do, is go, okay, I don't have any peace right now. Okay, what's wrong? Okay, figure it out. Just because there's just so little time here. And if you're just always on, running on empty or running at full steam, that's a lot of energy, and it's a lot. So some peace and, quality, not quantity. And I'm not successful right now which isn't a bad, I could say that with a big old smile on my face, actually. That was kind of funny. It's not a bad thing. I have a lot to do, a lot to figure out, a lot to work towards, and that's awesome. For me, I will feel successful when my actions and my words are one. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do it, which I apologize that this podcast is a day late, but I am doing the podcast, which I said I was going to do, which is amazing. So there's little pieces, and that's the thing, is it doesn't have to be so broad over your whole life. You could have little successes, as you go. So a little success is I have all my calendars for next year. They're sitting next to me, just waiting to go in the mail to the people who ordered them. That is so cool. I said I was going to make a calendar. I did. Is it perfect? No. Do I like it? Yes. Am I proud of it? Yes. I hope everyone will love it, but it's I did it. I did what I said I was going to do. And then I have a subscription to go out to my subscribers next week. This week. No, yeah, it'll go out this week. And so I said I was going to do it, and I'm doing it. This is my 4th month. It's really cool, and they love getting the stuff, and it's so rewarding, And so for me, it might not be monetary, but success isn't always monetary, I'm making money from that. But what I mean is that a lot of what I get joy out of is putting it together. So there's still joy in that. There's still success to me, is that I get up at 7 in the morning, sometimes 5. I can't sleep these days, man. But I get up and I try at something. And I used to be mad at myself for that, but I'm happy because I don't care if I don't punch a clock. I don't care if I don't get a check at the end of the week. I don't care about that kind of stuff, because that's not what success is to me. Success to me, quality over quantity, peaceful moments, as many as possible. And then my actions and my words to match. And then, the other piece is just to keep working on myself so that I am strong enough to take criticism, and also so that I am well enough, sound, mind, body, soul, spirit, heart, so that I could show up fully for other people. My sense of community is amazing, but as far as like being in a group of people, it's still a little hard for me. I still have a hard time. There's so much energy, and so I'm still working on how to have my little bubble so that I don't take it on and don't get hit by the stones that are thrown so hard, But that's why I have heavy boots, is because I take it all home with me. And so this is what I'm working on. And I don't think that's a bad thing, I think I was given heavy boots. And I'm embracing it, because the thing about it is if you don't embrace yourself, no one else can embrace you, because you're always trying to figure out who you are. And so nobody can pinpoint, like, oh, who's Jenny? I don't know. Yesterday she was an emo lover and now she's a country music lover. It's like when you moved too much through what everybody else wants you to be, you lose sight of who you are. And so success for me will come when I don't have to worry. Also, I should have said this. So when you don't have to worry about necessities, quality over quantity, when everything is quality. So my relationships, my basically relationships, like, to me, I don't know. And then quality of the work you do. So like if it's something that really is you're passionate about, it's going to be quality because you're going to put everything into it. And maybe it's not somebody else's quality, but who cares? You're putting everything you got into it. So yeah, so I guess quality and like what you do each day, and relationships, that's huge. And actions and words lining up. Do what you say you're going to do, and then actions speak louder than words. So just do some stuff sometimes. Don't say so much. Like, I've not talked a lot about like the things I'm going to do anymore. I used to have all these big plans, and then I'd be like, oh my God, I just let everybody down, or like, anybody that is interested in like what I want to do. I wanted to write a book. I have so many that I've started, but I'm like, I'm going to finish it by this date or whatever. And so, just maybe keep that in your vest. Keep that in your pocket. Don't tell everybody all the things that you're going to do. Just do them. It's kind of cool. And then maybe a couple weeks before it's out, you'd be like, hey, look what I did. It's kind of cool too, because it's like more of a surprise. So when I launched my website, it was like, oh my God, what? Well, I had my website, but I relaunched it, and people were like, oh, that looks so much better, and what have you. But, it's just like action. It's a good word. And so I want to take more action in my weight loss as well. And yeah, there's so many things, but that's the big ones. I'll say it one more time. Sorry to be redundant. It is quality, not quantity. Do what you say you're going to do. Action. And, yeah, just don't focus so much on the monetary or the status of things. Because like I said, you could have the biggest title at the biggest company and you could be miserable. You could have the biggest bank account, but you could be alone. So focus on the quality of relationships and self-care, so that you can show up for those who matter. Because there's been times that I haven't been able to, and then more recently there have been times when I could, And when you show up, too, for people, you actually gain a lot of skills because there's people and you have to, use your bubble and figure out how to maintain who you are in this room of people. And it's a good exercise. And just be kind. So, that's the biggest thing in success, is to be a kind person, to me. But to me, that's so much of a given that, I didn't go into that. But it is definitely a success point to have people say, oh, she's so kind, or she's so nice, And, to genuinely be kind. Genuinely. So, when you leave, you don't say, oh, God, I'm glad they bought that. I'm glad they thought I was kind. No, don't do things if you can't be kind, All right. I think I covered it, but I wish you all whatever success looks like to you. And it could be whatever you want it to be. Doesn't have to be what you think society wants you to do, or what anyone tells you to do within any of your circles, any of your groups, families. It's only what matters to you. And if you work really hard at whatever you love, you can make money at it. Because that's the thing, is that we, get told that that's a huge dream. It's crazy. You're nuts. I've been told that even recently. And I'm not nuts. I'm a dreamer, and this is the kind of life that I need to find that peace. And so I'm just going to try my hardest in the next few months to get after it, and try to make something that works, that fuels my life. I will leave you with this. Success is whatever you want it to be. You are not a failure. You can have failure, but you're not one. Never let anyone tell you you are. I wish you the best. I appreciate you coming here and listening, and I can't wait for November's offerings. I'm going to come up with that soon and post it at Heavy Boots Life on Instagram. You can check in there for any updates, and hopefully I'll be having more time to do more there, because it'd be fun to interact with people and kind of get your take on things. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day. Stay you. This podcast was written and recorded by Jenny Camille. The song that you hear at the beginning and the end is so fittingly titled Kindness Follows by Birds of Norway. Take care.